For our next question, we'll look at g at f at 4. Well, we see that g at f at 4 is the same as g at f at 4. Well, if we want to know what f at 4 equals, we need to consider what y equals when x is 4 in the function f. So in the function f, when x is 4, y is 8. So f at 4 is 8. So g at f at 4 is the same as g at 8. Well, now we need to consider the function g. And when x is 8 in the function g, what does y equal? Well, when x is 8 in the function g, y equals 11. So g at f at 4 is g at 8, which is 11. And now we've got g of 1. Well, g of 1 is g of 1. So now we want to know, in the function g, when x equals 1, what does y equal? Well, in the function g, when x equals 1, y equals 3. So g at 3. So g at 1 is 3. Now we want to know what g at 3 equals. Well, g at 3 is the y value in g when x is 3. So in g, when x is 3, the y value is 17. So that's g at 3, 17. And for this question here, we're going to look at the graphs. And hopefully you can see those graphs clearly in your video. And we want to determine what f at g at 2 equals. Well, f at g at 2 is the same as f at g at 2. So what's g at 2? Well, g at 2 is the y value from g of x when x equals 2. So we go to y equals g at x, and we let x equal 2, and we see, if we had a more accurate graph, we see that the y value is 1. So on the function y equals g at x, when x equals 2, y equals 1. That means g at 2 is 1. So instead of saying f at g at 2, we can say f at 1. What is f at 1? Well, we go to the graph of y equals f at x, we let x equal 1, and then we see what y equals. So in the function y equals f at x, we go to x equaling 1, and we see what y equals. And we go all the way up to 6, so y equals 6. So f at 1 is 6. So in recap, what we did is, to find out f at g at 2, we said it's f at g at 2. We went on the g graph, let x be 2, found out what y was, it was 1. Then we went on the f graph, we let x be 1, found out what y was, and it was 6. And one more that we'll do here is g of 4. Well, g of 4 is the same as g of 4. What's g at 4? G at 4 is the value that you get for y on the graph of g at x when x is 4. So we go to the graph of g at x, we let x be 4, and we see that the y value that we get is negative 1. So this becomes, instead of g of 4, we have negative 1 in the input. But we still have to take g at negative 1. Well, what is g at negative 1? Well, we come back over here, and we move over to negative 1, and we go up and find out what y equals. And we see that y equals 4. So we can say that the final answer is 4. So as a recap, g of 4 is the same as g at 4. We input 4 as x, and we find out what y equals on g, and it equals negative 1. Now x is negative 1, and we look at what y would be on g, and it equals 4. So g of 4 equals 4. But that doesn't always happen. Not every function will give you g of 4 equals 4. There could be functions where g of 4 equals 5. You don't know. But in this case, it just sort of worked out nicely like that.